Hello, tea family, and how are you this evening? I hope everybody is having a wonderful, relaxing weekend. Today, we are going to be talking about one of our newer chai blends. We're going to be talking about Jade Chai and what makes it so special. We're also going to touch on the importance of balancing spices for our chai blends to make sure we have the right amount of depth, warmth, complexity, and flavor. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, I did already um, get water ready, but here's our Jade Chai. So you can see it is green tea along with cinnamon, cardamom, and clove. And so I am going to go ahead and we're dealing without our marble board today because it broke and we haven't replaced it yet. All right, so I've got a teaspoon from my favorite thing. And now my handy dandy assistant's actually going to come pour for me. Smells so good when you open it up. That's all we're going to smell in the house for a while. All right, right there. All right, and then this is a green tea. So we brought the water to between 175 to 180 degrees in green tea. 1 minute on the clock for this Jade Chai. Now, this is our newest standard chai blend. We started with the herbal caffeine-free one with ruby chai, and then we went and did a black onyx chai and with a black tea in it, and then we came up with this one. Now, each blend is a little bit different. The tea bases are different, which is one of the reasons why the spices need to be a little bit different. Now, they can have the same spices, but the amounts of spices to the tea. And one of the reasons why, like a black tea, you've got the bold, malty, rich flavor of the black tea. So you're going to want to go with stronger spice blends, more robust spice blends. This is also why there is nutmeg added to that one, because it can take the additional spice without becoming overwhelming. The rooibos in our ruby chai, that's a naturally, already. All right, we will take this out. Starlight pear, yay! Love starlight pear. All right, everybody. And look, we have a beautiful Jade Chai. What else is everybody drinking tonight? Let's see what's going on. Welcome. Starlight pear is amazing. I now have to let this cool for just a second before I take my first sip. But let me go back here. So the rooibos, it's great for that slightly sweeter, caffeine-free ruby chai, something to enjoy if you wanted a chai latte right before bed or just a cup of delicious chai. So you're going to want something, the spice blend mix needs to be smoother, a little less robust than the black tea. Now, it's not as restrained as if I was going to make a white tea, but when we went to the green tea, since green tea has a much more mild flavor, overall, it's more delicate, almost has like a grassy herbal note to it. We wanted to lighten up the spices a little bit, so we went a little heavier on the cinnamon, a little lighter on the cardamom and the clove. And the reason for that is because we have to balance the tea that we're using with the spices that we're using. And so we wanted a green tea base. So we wanted to create a lighter, but a very vibrant. And the one thing that people say when they try it or they smell it at events is that it's a smoother chai. It's not as bold of a chai. So now what spices are we talking about? Oh, so good. So what spices are we talking about? We are talking about, for us, cinnamon. It's going to be warm. It's going to add a sweetness. It's a cozy, very familiar flavor. Many people would love that flavor. It's going to balance some of the sharper spices that many people use in their chais, like ginger and black pepper. There are different types of cinnamon, and so that you do have to keep that in mind. We use a Ceylon cinnamon as opposed to a cassia cinnamon. So it's going to have a different level because the different cinnamons have a different level of sweetness and intensity to it. These are really, really good in all three of our teas. The cinnamon really goes ahead and causes that one blend. Now, we do not add ginger into ours. Our regular line, we do have it in a couple of special ones, but that's going to add more of a spicy, sharp, slightly sweet flavor. It would pair well with the black tea or with a rooibos. I would not put it with a white tea chai or a green tea chai. Just because it's going to add that warming heat. It's going to activate the palate. You can use ginger in a green tea chai, but you're going to have to really watch your balancing. Now, one of the things we do include in ours is cardamom, which is really kind of a sweet, almost citrusy notes to it. It is an absolute essential to chai spices. If you don't have cardamom in it, there are many that would say that you don't have a chai blend, because you absolutely have to have that chai. You have to have that cardamom in your chai blend. It adds some sweetness to balance some of the tea blends. It works amazingly well with the green tea for our Jade Chai. It is really good. It's very, very versatile. That's one of the best things about cardamom is it's very versatile because it can go with some of your more robust black teas, but it can also be softer in your white teas or your green teas and things like that. It really works well with both. And it adds a fragrant depth that those in the Indian cuisine often search for in their curries and their other flavors as well. Cloves. Cloves are another spice that are very often included in a chai spice blend. They're strong, they're pungent, they're slightly bitter. We really have to be careful because when we get the ones that we get, they're even more pungent than, these are not your grocery store cloves that you put on a ham. The depth and intensity that it adds to the chai blend, we have to be really, really careful how much we use, because if you use too much, it can just overpower everything and you're just basically drinking a clove tea, which isn't necessarily bad if that's what you want. But if you're looking for a chai blend, you really have to be careful with that. The other thing is cloves pair extraordinarily well with cinnamon. They give you a rich, almost like fall-like autumn feel to it, which is typically one of the most popular times to drink a chai tea for some reason. In the US, you've got a lot of those fall flavors in it, but really chai is good any time of the year. Let's see. Another thing that you'll sometimes see in a chai blend is black pepper, or sometimes even a pink pepper. This is going to add some spiciness that's going to linger on your tongue a little bit. Pepper has the ability to add and kind of tie some flavors together. It works really well if you're going to do a milk-based chai or a chai latte of some sort. It's also going to amplify any ginger that you have in there, so you need to be mindful of that. However, we were at the tea festival where there were people from literally all over the world, including Nepal, who had their own chai blend. And one of the things is people said that there was they really enjoyed our chais because there was too much pepper in the other chai blends that they were trying. And a lot of people like that kind of peppery note, but some people don't. And so we got a lot of compliments on the fact that it wasn't overwhelming. Because again, although pepper can have a subtle heat, too much of a good thing is not the best. Really, you need such a balance when you're doing these spices. There's a reason why it took us a year and a half. Yeah. Almost 2 years to really perfect the chai before we brought it out. Another spice you'll often see in a chai blend is nutmeg. And of course, we do use nutmeg in our onyx chai. It's going to add that warm, nutty, slightly sweetness to it, kind of add some background warmth to your tea. Nutmeg's going to enhance creamy notes in a milk or a tea latte. And again, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, all blend with nutmeg. You've got those fall spices, those autumn spices that I was talking about, and they pair really well, especially with the black tea or rooibos based ruby chai like we have. Now, again, you can use nutmeg because we do have nutmeg in our green tea chai, our Jade Chai. However, we've got to pull back on the flavors, make sure we're getting the balance correct. If anything, that's the one thing. Okay, so sometimes people add some other spices, and I do want to talk about all of them. It's not just about what we use in ours. We have found that some people will use star anise, which gives like a licorice-like sweet, very aromatic, strong in flavor. I mean, this is one of those, just a tiny bit, a little goes a long way, like they used to tell us with glue and stuff when we were little, and we didn't believe them, and we would just keep pouring tons of glue. We're like, but we wanted to make it stick. Well, unfortunately, people can go too heavy with this one as well. A tiny, tiny bit goes such a long way, but it's really good if you add it into a black tea where you've already got that robust, full-bodied, fully oxidized tea leaf in there. Now, another spice that you will often find either with in the chai blend or added afterwards is vanilla. And that is because vanilla is amazing at making something very sweet, creamy, and balancing and blending flavors well. It adds that smoothness note so that you get an end to the bite of the spices. It really helps almost round out the flavor, so to speak. Soften the bold, pungent spices that you may put in there, and it's going to work well with anything. I have yet to find something in the tea world that vanilla does not work well with, but I might be partial to vanilla because I'm the person that goes in and orders vanilla ice cream if I ever eat ice cream. Those of you that know me know I am not an ice cream kind of gal. I'm not the one that has a bowl of ice cream every night. I do have a friend who lives in Texas, and he's an ice cream guy, and so it's not uncommon for them to have a bowl of ice cream every night. I'm like, it's okay. Every once in a while, I want some. But so one of the things I wanted to talk about when I'm talking about the Jade Chai, especially, is how you blend those spices together is how you create your end tea. So if I want it to be a spicier, bolder chai, I want more ginger, or I could add that black pepper or that star anise into it. If I want a sweeter, more dessert-like chai blend, I'm going to stick more with just cinnamon and vanilla and cardamom, because you got to have cardamom regardless. And if I want kind of like a very soft, very aromatic chai, I'm going to be focused on cardamom and nutmeg, especially. Not as much on the other flavors. So, all right, water temperature was 175. We don't want to burn the green tea that's in there, and it is enough to extract all the wonderful flavors of the spices. 1 minute for the first brew, 2 minutes for the second brew, 3 minutes for the third brew. You can brew this longer. There are those that say you should do 3 to 4 minutes for the first brew. I would argue that you still are dealing with a green tea. You don't want to overbrew it. You don't want to give it a chance to become bitter. Not many people like the bitter flavors. So let's see. A couple of things. I did want to talk about something. For those of you who have the subscription for Tea and a Mystery, you will recognize this picture. And these are honey cakes. Now, these honey cakes are what the recipe card is for. So in that you get one chapter of the mystery, you get an ounce of tea, and then there's a recipe card in there every month. And sometimes there's a little something extra. And so this is a picture of the honey cakes in the recipe. Now, why did I do that? Well, there was a chai blend for February. I won't tell you which one. But if you talk to somebody who gets the subscription, we have either mailed out or handed out all of the second chapters for the month of February. And this is one of the things that I love to talk about is the pairing. So what are we going to pair with our different teas? Well, this honey cake, the honey cakes, you can pair with any of them, but let's kind of talk about it a little bit. So if we are talking a classic black tea based chai, something that's very bold and very spicy, we're talking an onyx chai kind of a thing here. If you wanted to pair it with something sweet, I am going to say some spiced cookies like ginger snaps, chai spiced shortbread cookies. I would also say you could go with like a dark chocolate or chocolate covered nuts, pumpkin bread, spiced carrot cake, spiced cake. Yep. If you go to the South and you get a truly homemade spice cake with caramel icing, this is something you are definitely going to want to pair with a chai blend. You could pair it with the Rooibos caffeine-free based ruby chai one or our onyx chai one with that black tea in it. Oh my goodness, perfect, spot on. Now, if you wanted to go in more of a savory pairing, I'm going to go more with, you could go something very simple like buttered toast and jam. I would go in, or buttered toast with honey. And for the jams and honeys, I would go more of the citrus notes to balance the spices, but you could go with whatever you want. I would pair the black tea chai or an onyx chai with more like mild cheeses like brie, Gouda with some dried fruit. That would work really, really well. Curry dishes with kind of like some warm spices, I would definitely go there. Now, I'm going to skip and we're going to talk about ruby chai, you know, that herbal, caffeine-free, rooibos based. And if I'm going to take that one, I would pair that on the sweet side. I'm pairing it with oatmeal cookies with cinnamon, raisins if you like it. My handy dandy assistant does not particularly care for raisins in his oatmeal cookies at all, and thankfully neither do I. So he'll eat them, but like they're not his favorite. And so oatmeal cookies, cinnamon, raisins, that sort of thing. Apple tarts or poached pears. Poached pears would be delicious with the ruby chai. Caramel popcorn or nut brittle. Another one would be that I wouldn't personally eat due to my food allergies, but you could do coconut macaroons. That would be a really nice pairing there. That element of coconut and the sweetness really, really would match well with a rooibos based chai, a ruby chai.
Sounds very good.
Now, if I am doing a savory pairing, which we all know I prefer savory stuff to sweet stuff, I would say sweet potato fries done in the air fryer with a dusting of cinnamon. Spot on. Soft cheeses with spiced nuts, a butternut squash soup or an acorn squash. Any kind of roasted root vegetables, you're gonna be spot on with a ruby chai. Now, I am going to talk about chai lattes for a second. We know we've made these before where you make the chai and then you add the milk on top and you make the layers and the lattes and things like that. Sometimes people will mix the milk in, and however you do with the chai spices and the tea, whichever way you do it is up to you. And I hope, you know, I just want you to enjoy your tea. But if you're doing a chai latte, then I would say for sweet pairings, croissant or cinnamon roll, chocolate lava cake or brownies would match really, really well, especially if it was a dark chocolate brownie. Vanilla pound cake with like a chai based glaze as opposed to a citrus glaze to get a little bit of the same chai spice blend that you're using in your tea and use that for your glaze. That would be spot on. A maple or pecan pie would be really, really good here. Those would be kind of the sweet pairings to go with the chai latte that I would recommend. Now, again, I like the savory stuff. So buttered scones with clotted cream, spiced nuts with a extra sharp white cheddar cheese. And I am saying white cheddar cheese because I did grow up in New England, not very far away from Vermont. So I know that the closer you get to the actual dairy, the cheeses are actually white or just a slight off-white when they're really, really fresh. But that extra sharp cheddar cheese bite is really going to match well with that cheese latte. And then, you know, even a warm quiche, and a quiche that maybe you add a sprinkle of nutmeg to the top to kind of complement the chai spice blend that you choose. But we're drinking Jade Chai today. We're drinking this wonderful stuff right here. And I'm going to try and do this. I have to put that down. The angle, it's all about getting the right angle so you can see clearly. Now you see, without dumping it all on my laptop. Once again, there's our Jade Chai. You'll see the green tea, you see the cinnamon, you see the cardamom, you see the clove. This is a really light and refreshing tea. You'll notice there was no sugar. I didn't add any sweetness. If I was, I probably wouldn't have gone with sugar on this one. I would have recommended a honey. And if you really pushed it, I would probably do a vanilla honey, a vanilla infused honey like we get from Rummy Bees. That one would be the one in here. But this really doesn't need anything. It's just a very light, refreshing tea. This is going to pair really, really well with bright, citrusy, lighter, sweet kind of foods. So sweet pairings, I'm going to say lemon bars or citrus tarts. This one would do really well with an almond biscotti or a pistachio baklava. White chocolate with cardamom. The light honey cakes or even Madeleines would work really, really well with the Jade Chai. Now for savory pairings, soft cheeses like ricotta, or there's a French one, chèvre, C-H-E-V-R-E. There's an accent over the first E. I don't speak French, kind of almost refuse to, but you could do one of those kind of softer cheeses with like a fig jam. The fig jam is really going to bring out a lot of the notes of both the green tea and the chai blend that you use. Grilled chicken with like a mild spice rub. Cucumber sandwiches, sushi rolls, you know, and again, any kind of almond pastry or citrusy kind of dessert, you know, the lemon bars, those sort of things, like I mentioned, they would be absolutely perfect to pair with your Jade Chai. And so that's what I wanted to kind of chat about a little bit today. Let's see. I was trying to, let me look over here for my notes really quick. Does anybody have any questions about the chai blends? I'll give you a second as I sip on my Jade Chai tea. Now, I do want to do one more thing, and feel free to put your questions in. But one more thing, don't be afraid to make your Jade Chai into a latte. I mean, don't be into a mocktail. So make your Jade Chai in the morning. Go ahead and put it in the fridge. I would take 1 cup of Jade Chai. I would take 1 to 2 tablespoons in the afternoon when it's all nice and cool. And I would add 1 to 2 tablespoons of a vanilla syrup to it. That's going to add some of the sweetness. It's also going to add your vanilla. I would do a vanilla honey syrup if I could. And then add about a half cup to 3/4 of a cup, depending on how creamy you want your mocktail, of milk. Now, here's the thing. you could do a coconut milk or an almond milk here, and it would be amazing. I cannot do a coconut milk because I'm allergic to coconut. So I could do a regular milk, and it's still going to have a nice flavor. So I'm kind of making like a cold tea latte. But here's the thing, you're adding a vanilla syrup to it. And then what I would do is I would actually also add about a teaspoon of a cinnamon syrup, or make your own cinnamon syrup and put that in there. And then if you use the coconut, I would put a little bit of shredded coconut on top and make just a fun, really cold iced latte or a mocktail, depending. And that would be a really great way and fun way for you to enjoy just a little mocktail. Serve it in a really pretty bar glass, add a cinnamon stick to it, and enjoy the deliciousness that is Jade Chai. So anybody else have any questions? Okay, next week, I have to look up in my book. I knew it earlier, but now I've forgotten. Oh, next week we're going to be talking, we're going to be making something. Let's just put it that way. We're going to be making something from lemon zinger. We're going to kind of talk about lemon zinger a little bit, but we're really going to be making something with it. And the only hint that I will give you is it includes blueberries. So I'm going to leave you on that note. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And I know the groundhog came out. I think he saw a shadow. I don't know if that means winter, spring. I don't think he even knows what that means. But the other thing that I would say is that our live sale is still live until tomorrow. So if you haven't walked by, there's a couple of things left. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you all have a great week.
Bye.